Alright guys, it's Jahlon with the Paradox Gaming Network, and today I am continuing my series on getting started with streaming and video making. Today we are going to get into episode 3, which is just a very basic setup of OBS for streaming, and then the very basic concepts of video making. Now, this is not going to set you up to be impressive. This is basically the bare bones setup. Now, the streaming process is real simple. It is basically set up your programs and then go live. At the end of this video, you will have every tool you need. Everything will be set up for OBS that you can absolutely hit start streaming and be live. The problem is it's not going to look impressive. It is underlined basic concepts. Now, right off the bat, I want to talk about that you could go to Stream Elements, you could go to Streamlabs, you could import from the library. I just think it's important to understand how to set up the basic bits and pieces, and then you use the cheat. Use the shortcut after you know how to do the bread and butter stuff. Now, first of all, you have to have a program to set up. I recommend OBS. I have used several different programs. I find OBS to be the easiest to use. I have nothing against Streamlabs OBS, except it's in beta and it does some finicky stuff to your alert boxes that you have set up. So I took a pass on Streamlabs OBS. I did use it. I tried it. I took a pass on it. You can also stream live with NVIDIA Shadowplay or Radeon Relive. But the problem is you can't do all the cool looking things on top of it. The templates, the alerts, all of those things don't get configured. So really, Shadowplay and the Radeon program, those are for gathering raw data, and you're going to see that employed more in the video making section. But they are both very good programs to use to get your raw data. In fact, I'm going to be using that in just a second. I'm going to drop out of OBS and then we're going to show you how to set up OBS, but I can't go into those menus if I'm actually using the program. So let me drop into Shadowplay. Alright guys, what I've done is I have dropped out of OBS so that I can actually play with the different settings. If I tried to change some of these settings while I was using OBS, it wouldn't let me because it would say, hey, you're using those settings, we can't change them in real time. So instead, what I'm doing is I'm using Shadowplay, and this is what Shadowplay looks like. You saw this in episode 2 where I just did a raw capture of the desktop, and I was using PowerPoint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through basically the 3 basic things to getting started with OBS. I'm going to show you your stream key and where you get that, where you put that in. And then I'm going to show you how to set up your sound, including your mic. And then I'm going to do the game capture. I'll also throw in webcam there because, as I talked about in the first segment, there is a lot of data that shows having a webcam makes people feel like they're talking to someone, and you increase your viewership, your subscriptions, your followers, and it really just gives you a much better interaction with your audience. So to get started, first of all, you're going to need your stream key. Now, obviously, I don't want to go into Twitch and pull this. I can't show you my stream key, and you never want to show anybody your stream key either. If they have your stream key, they can stream to your channel. It's always kind of weird when you explain to somebody where this is. You can never find it. You know where it's at. It's just one of those you always draw a blank. So what it is, it's in Twitch. You go into your dashboard, but it's at the bottom. It's in Settings, Channel. And then you got to scroll down about halfway through the channel settings, and then you're going to see Steam Preferences, and there's your stream key. When you click on this, it's going to give you a really long string of alphanumeric characters. Copy that, and then come back to OBS. Go into Settings, go into Stream, and then that's where you paste your stream key. Now, obviously, I'm not going to show you my stream key, and you don't want to ever show anybody your stream key either. Now, one thing I'll share with you that I learned the hard way, above that is usually auto-recommended. I've found that the auto-recommended option doesn't work for me. Other streamers I talk to say they never have a problem. I guess given that I'm just outside of St. Louis, it always tries to send me out to Denver or Texas, and I end up getting a little bit of frame rate loss. The last couple of weeks I've been using Chicago and I've had zero problems. So this is going to be, you're going to want to do a couple of sample streams and see which server works best. I also highly recommend starting every show a minute or two early. Start broadcasting so that people can have a chance to get the notification. But it also gives you a chance to monitor for frame rate loss and lets you switch your server before your show ever starts. So that's a lesson I learned the hard way. Now next up, we're going to need to get some sound in our stream. So you're going to come back into settings, go to audio. Now you're going to notice that all of my audio options are disabled. You can choose as many options as you want. Truthfully, all you need is the default for your desktop sound. And then the basic thing is you're going to need your mic. Now, as you notice, I have a gaming headset on, but if you can avoid using a gaming headset mic, if you can get a standalone mic, you'll find your quality is better. Now, if you're just getting started, absolutely use your headset mic. If you don't like streaming, don't make an investment. Personally, I have the Blue Snowball. I'm going to be upgrading again to get a little bit better sound. And so I just picked that. Now everything else I'm going to leave alone because this is just getting you set up with the basics. Now when I hit apply and I hit OK, you're going to notice at the bottom the mic is already picking up. And that's because the mic is still monitoring in OBS. Even though I'm not recording in OBS, the mic is still monitoring. I recommend going full over on your mic and then in your Windows audio settings, drop your mic down 5 to 10%. It helps a little bit with that white noise. Now, on the topic of white noise, I'm not going to teach you how to eliminate that. There are about 8,000 videos that you can look up on how to set up audio meter and digital AV cables, all that. That's not what this show's about. This is just the very basics. Okay, so now that we have the mic and audio working, the next thing we need is the game capture. Now, you'll notice behind my OBS, I don't have a game running, but you'll see Guild Wars 2 is running. I have it running on another screen. Now, when I add anything to my OBS, and I'll show you my OBS at the end of this segment to see how I've done some things. But what I do is I do a game capture, but I like to add whatever it is in the source. So if it's an element, it's a game capture. I like to include that. Now, previously I had all the different games that I would cycle through as their own element. I sometimes still do that if I know I'm going to be flipping between several games in one show. I want to be able to just click, click, click and go. But normally you're just going to have the one game capture. And then when you hit OK, you're going to notice that the mode is capture any full screen application. Well, the problem is that I don't want to capture any full screen application. I might have something running on one of my other screens that I don't want to capture. So I always use capture specific windows. Now, before you ask, like, Jahlon, what might you be running in full screen that you don't want captured? I might have my users giveaway spreadsheet up, and I don't want to capture that. I don't want to show users' email addresses. If I have giveaway codes, promo codes, I obviously don't want to display those. So I do specific window. And then for this, I'm going to capture Guild Wars 2. Now you'll notice as soon as I picked it, it popped up on the screen, filled up my OBS, my sub window. Now there's a lot of things that you can do in here. I'm not going to go into them. Like I said, this is all the basics. So as you see, you now have your game on your screen. Now it doesn't fill up the entire screen because I have scaled my resolution on my side monitor in order to make it a windowed version. You can grab it, you can drag it really far. It's going to start clipping off some stuff. If you want to keep it the width, this is where you'll notice the game is now the width, and you see those other cool streamers, they have stuff below the game, who's their most recent follower, who their donors are. This is a great place to put that stuff. Highly recommend that as soon as you have placed an element and you like where it's at, use this lock icon. The reason why is nothing is worse than being in the middle of a show and grabbing something, especially if you put up windows during the show. Like I put up images or Google searches, and then I'll want to move it, and then I end up dragging the game off. So always make sure that these are locked. Now for this last part, I'm going to stop the shadow play for a second. I'm going to disable my camera because you can only have your camera active in one place or the other. And I want to drop the webcam into the OBS just so people can see stacking two elements and then to see how to configure the camera. So give me just 1 second. All right, so now I don't have my camera on. I'm going to be able to use it. And I just want to take this opportunity to show you the example of what people are talking about when they say you get a lot more interaction with a streamer who has a webcam. Obviously, now you can't see my facial interactions. I talk with my hands. I try to be a little bit animated, and now you're missing all those things. So hopefully you can see the difference here and why you might want a webcam. In OBS, to add your webcam, you're going to do a video capture device. And again, I'm going to put element, and this is just for me. I like to do elements so I know what I'm doing. And I'm going to do webcam. Now, as you can see, now I'm on the screen again because nowhere else was using the webcam. OBS was able to grab it. Now, the cool thing is that I use a Logitech webcam. I can't speak intelligently for any other webcams, but you can do your configuration right in OBS if you want to, say, do some zoom, or you want to do a little tilt. It's not much. The tilt doesn't do much given how close I am to my camera, but definitely if I wanted to do some panning, if I wanted to, you know, go back and focus on some of the artwork that's on the other side where I used to have my desk. You can also do, you know, the low light compensation. I always keep it on because I broadcast in the dark a lot. But just so you know, you can do that directly in OBS, and it's loading your Logitech menu. With that said, there are a lot of options here. What you're going to notice is there is this audio output mode. My webcam does have a mic on it. So I'm going to show you something to disable in just a minute. So it doesn't really matter what you're going to do here. If you have a Logitech camera with a good mic, you can actually use that instead of the headset mic. And I did have really good success with that previously. So now you can see that I have dropped it on top of my OBS. And I can shrink this to any size. I can put it anywhere I want. Now, this all becomes a matter of preference. I like to have my camera in the lower right hand corner. I like to keep what I call my work space empty. I like to keep it free of any extra clutter. I don't like to be at the top right because obviously that's where the quests are, and if you want to talk about something, it's going to make it more difficult. And again, lock that into place because you don't want to grab your camera accidentally and drag yourself all over. Now, another thing you notice here is that the element webcam has now appeared in my mixer. That's because my webcam has a microphone on it. Now, as you can see, it's not picking up any sound at the moment. That's because I didn't set it in settings. If I came back in here to audio, microphone 2, actually I'd have to go into Windows, but I could in fact set my mic for my webcam as well. Just because you want to avoid issues and not have two mics hot, I recommend muting it out right away. That way you don't have the issue of picking up a second mic. I had that issue, like I said, lots and lots of time learning, but this gives you a basic setup. This is all you need to stream. With or without the webcam, you're ready to go. All you'd have to do is right here, hit start streaming, and you could go with this setup. Now give me just 1 second. I want to take my camera back off, and I want to put my camera back into shadow play. All right, so just to close up the live streaming piece, guys, let me assure you that getting really comfortable in OBS itself doesn't take a lot of time. I only started streaming last October, and I have managed to put together my OBS several times. I don't like Streamlabs OBS because I moved to that and then I was breaking a lot of bits and pieces. And I'm not going to go into like alert boxes today or the goal box. If people need my style of instructional video for those things, just ask in the comments, and I will of course put together a part 2 of the setting up OBS. But there are a lot of great videos out there that you can find, so I don't want to duplicate work that I used to set up. Like, why should I teach you what I learned when I can just say, hey, this is a really great source. This is the source I used to learn. But some people have told me they learned best from me. So, of course, if you need me to do a video, I will do that. So what I have is I have a series of scenes now. What we were doing is we were adding elements to just one scene. And now on the left-hand side, you see that I have a number of scenes. And this lets me, during different parts of the show, this lets me move between pre-formatted scenes. Like if I want to talk about something a little bit more in detail and I don't want the game in the background, I can switch over to what I call the couch. Just me talking to you. Camera's a little bit bigger, takes up more of that space, but then at the same time, my Twitch chat box would be appearing on this side. And then my most recent followers, just, you know, nice little thing for people to see their name up on the screen. Of course, for me, I always do a thank yous thing. If you start getting sponsors and followers, make sure to thank people. And you don't want to have to type this stuff out all the time, so just get it done ahead of time. And then, of course, I have what is my game setup. I have it bordered. I don't go all the way to the edge. I have stuff that appears down here. I have alerts. I have music stuff. But you'll notice I've elected to keep my screen really, really clean because I do an educational-based show. Like I said, we can go over to Streamlabs. We can look at the library, and we can say, hey, these are just some of the things that you could pull down. But I'm not going to do that in this show. Again, if people need me to walk them through setting up Streamlabs library or Stream Elements, both really great sources, I will, of course, do that. And then, of course, same thing, if I'm on break, I have a timer that counts down. So you can see that I have a lot of things going on. I have a lot of sources. They're all labeled. And this is what I was talking about. As you can see, all of my permanent things are labeled in here. But, for example, I wanted to show off a particular image during one show. So now I have the image. I know this isn't a permanent image, so I can just go ahead and delete that. If I was showing something on Chrome, I can click Chrome in. It lets me, if I know for that show I'm going to do something, then I like to take the time to pre-size the box for exactly what I'm going to talk about. So just things to keep in mind as you think about streaming in the future. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop into OBS and we're going to talk about getting started with video making. All right, so for getting started streaming, it's not that complicated. If you followed everything in the tutorial in that last section, you're actually ready to go live. Assuming that you'd already set up your Twitch account, you already got the game you want to pick loaded, you're good to go. Hit start streaming and off you run. You're off to the races. Now, for the other half of content creators, video makers, you have a little bit harder of a job. You have more steps in your process. You're going to be using a couple of more programs, and it just takes a little longer to get going. Your job is, again, to set up your programs, and then you have to get raw footage, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm getting the raw footage for the video I'm making. And then I have to do post-production, and I have basic concepts underlined. All I'm going to do today is just show you drag and drop just a little bit. If you need more tailored attention, let me know. Ask me questions. I can do a video specifically tailored to all the nuts and bolts. But there are already so many videos out there. There are a lot of good sources you could go to. But of course, yes, if you need me to do it, I will do it. And then after you do your post-production, then you publish your footage. So it's a few more steps and a lot more time-consuming. Now, to talk about that post-production, there are a lot of options. I'm going to show two in the next segment. I'm going to show Movie Maker. Now, Movie Maker is the simplest of the simple programs. It lets you do what you need to do, but it's not that impressive. Really, you use it to just clean up intros and ending, like extra dead air in between scenes. Or you can use it if you like the first part of a clip but want to recut the second half. That's the program you can do it in. You can also get involved with programs like Video Pro from Magic. You can use Adobe. These programs start to get a little bit pricey, and especially for somebody who's new, who doesn't know if they're going to be doing this for a while, you might not want to commit to that dollar amount. Now, I will tell you that you can get Video Pro off Humble Bundle on occasion, so keep your eye out. But the program that I really recommend is Filmora. I use Filmora. I absolutely love the program. It's very neat. It's very clean. It's very user-friendly. And there's a ton of stuff you can do with it. Now, in the next segment, you're going to see me use it. But I'm not going to go into a bunch of details. I'm not here to teach Filmora. I'm not here to sell Filmora. If you need a Filmora tutorial, they have guides on YouTube. Or again, just ask, and I will put one together for you. So let's take this opportunity, let's drop back into Shadowplay so we can use the whole desktop as our workspace. Alright guys, so this is just going to be a very, very basic, watered down introduction to post-production. What I have loaded on the screen right now, this is Movie Maker. If you go to the Microsoft App Store, you're going to come across about 9 different programs called Movie Maker. This is just one of the free programs you can use. Now, one of the things you're going to want to do in post-production is you're going to want to get rid of all of this extra downtime where you're waiting to speak. And I know that because I can activate the waveforms when I come in here. See, I pop waveforms on. So now, after doing this for a couple of years now, little visual clue. So I just want to go ahead and I want to set my start point here. Because then I don't have like 5 or 6 seconds of waiting to talk time. So now, there we go. There's the introduction. Same thing I'm going to do here. I'm going to trim off all of the stuff after the last point is made. And then what I want to do is I want to save this about a second of time. It's just trying to make sure your viewers aren't watching dead time. So I set that as my endpoint. That just cleans it up. Now, say I wanted to use Movie Maker for absolutely everything. I could do that. It's going to be a little bit harder, but you can definitely do everything you want in Movie Maker. So I'm going to add some stuff. Gonna add the Paradox intro to this. So I'm gonna pop this in real quick, and then unfortunately I popped it in at the bottom. What I can do is drag it up to the top, and there we go. So now if I did this, it would have my usual introduction. Now, obviously, that was kind of loud, a little bit louder than intended. I could get in here and I could edit the video volume if I needed to. If I wanted to take the volume out completely, if this was gameplay footage, same thing. I can edit the video volume. I can drop that out. Then I can drop the audio. I can drop the music right in on top of that. If you have the music that you want, it'll show you that you can get music online, or you can add music at the current point, drop in a song, and then if you want to do like transitions, I'm gonna actually drop the audio out while I do this. So say in between 2 parts, between getting started and episode 3, I wanted to make a more than just a fade. I wanted to put an actual transition in. What I do is I split that there. I put an animation, and then there you go. Let's pick a pretty you know, a pretty obvious one. Let's pick the keyhole one. So what happens is you see the transition. I can do bigger. When you're on text, sometimes flips are a little bit better. And really that's it. You can everything that you can do in a fancier program, you can do in Movie Maker. If I drop to the bottom one more time, what I could do is just like I did at the beginning intro, I could do my standard ending 20 seconds, and then once I build all these clips, I can do all of my post-production in Movie Maker. Now, if you find yourself enjoying making movies, YouTube videos, I would recommend a little bit better of a tool. I mean, you could put nails into the wall all day with a regular claw hammer, but if you're going to be doing a lot of carpentry work, you might want a nail gun. And that's what I liken Filmora to. I liken Filmora to a nail gun. And as you can see, ironically, this is this video getting produced right now. So it's a lot cleaner, not a lot neater. Instead of hitting insert and having to drag something over, you have a library of clips. As you can see in this particular video, I do audio post-production as well. So the audio track, I've tried to remove as much white noise as I can. Lets me have all of my cover elements, all of my different intros for all of my different programming that I do. I have it all already laid out. So if you were going to buy one program, I would recommend Filmora. They have a ton of instructional videos, and they give a lot of free stuff as well. A lot of transitions right now, 195 different transitions, 149 different filters, a ton of overlays, elements, and if you absolutely like something from their store, usually pretty cheap, but yeah, like I said, they give away a ton of free stuff, a ton of free elements and stuff. Again, with Movie Maker, you can put text in if you want. Filmora, a lot more user-friendly. Again, if you guys end up using Magic, if you end up using Adobe, whatever you end up using, just get in there and get to learn your program. Again, this is not a Filmora tutorial. This is not a Movie Maker tutorial. Just wanted to give you, you know, a little taste, a little preview of some of the stuff that you can do. And that really is it, guys. You're going to just have to get in there and you're going to have to play around with video making. But I wanted to get this just overview, give you a vague idea of what you're going to be doing. I'm open for questions, and if you need to get in touch with me, here's all the ways to do it. Now, I hope on this slide that you pick up one thing that I had deliberately done in episodes 1 and 2. And what I had done is I had cut and pasted a slide and dropped it into OBS. You actually can see it. It doesn't look nice. It doesn't look neat. It doesn't look clean. Now, for this episode, I actually built the closing slide in OBS. And now you can see it looks a lot nicer, a lot neater, a lot cleaner. And those are just the little things that you need to do as you move into your video production. Now, this series is basically closed. It is the basics of the basics. I have a few other things that I'm going to talk about in later episodes, but of course, if anybody out there needs something, please let me know, and I will get started on that video as soon as I can. With that said, I have a lot of post-production to do on this particular segment, so I'm going to get to that, and you guys enjoy your weekend. Hey, where are you going? You're not done yet. See these videos? This video's up here to watch. You got to go over here. Hit the chibi, subscribe to the channel, check out the webpage, and I'll see you guys on Twitch.